Hey guys, we're going to do a couple videos here on something called the zero product property. And I'm going to try to explain what that means. So the zero product property is a rule. Property in algebra, just all that really means is we have a rule about something. And our rule involves the number zero and the product. And hopefully you know the product means to multiply. So let's think about the number zero. It's kind of a unique number when you actually think about it. If I told you I had 6 times 0, what would you say the answer is? You'd say 0. Absolutely. 6 times 0 is 0. Well, what if it was 5 times 0? You'd still say it's 0. Or what if it was 27.8 times 0, like a decimal number times 0? Again, it would still be 0. Anything you multiply by 0 gives you 0. So if it was a fraction, 4/5 times 0, you'd still say 0. But what if we put a little algebra in here and we said, okay, how about x times 0? Oh, well, I don't know what x is, but times 0, it's got to be 0. Based on the pattern that we see up above here, anything times 0 is 0, even if it's an x. Even if it's something like this, 6 plus x times 0, the answer's still 0. And the reason I'm showing you this is because it's kind of leading us up into something that we call this zero product property. In fact, I'm going to go back up to the top of the page here. The zero product property is a rule involving the number 0, multiplying, and property means rule. And the way this rule works is pretty straightforward, actually, is if you're multiplying two things together. So I'm going to make my thought cloud here. So in this thought cloud, we're going to say that we have A times B. Now, I don't know what A and B are. Actually, it could be anything. It could be like 2 times 3, 7 times x plus 2 times x plus 4, whatever A and B are. We don't know. But if I tell you it equals 0, then right away you know either A is 0 or B is 0, or maybe they're both 0. So if this is true, if A times B equals 0, then A equals 0 or B equals 0, logically speaking. Now, why am I showing you this? Well, because it's going to help us start solving some bigger equations. We are going to start working on how to solve quadratic equations. And we're going to start with our first one today in this video. Here is our example. I want to solve this equation. X squared minus 2x minus 24 equals 0. Now, normally, most of the time in class, when we're solving for x, I say put your line down the middle and get x all by itself. So first step would be to add the 24 to the other side, move it over. Then you'd have x squared minus 2x equals 24. But it'd be right about here that you would be pretty stuck. What do? I have an x squared, I have an x. How do I fix this problem? I just want to know, what does x equal? Not x squared. So this is kind of a situation where you're like, uh-oh, I'm put a little sad face here. This is a problem. So we need another way to do this problem, something that's going to be more effective. So I'm going to write it again. X squared minus 2x minus 24 equals 0. But I'm going to try solving it a completely different way. So this strategy did not work. We need a new strategy. Well, here's what's standing out to me. When I see x squared, I'm automatically thinking of that rectangle diamond factoring process that we've been practicing in class. We have been really practicing on how to change sums into products. I bet you I could rewrite this as 2 parentheses equal to 0. If I did my rectangle diamond and factored this out, I could figure out what these two things are. And if two things being multiplied are equal to 0, then one of these has to be 0. So let's do it. Let's do our rectangle diamond. Let's kind of factor this real fast. I'm going to go down here and do this at the bottom. Now, if you haven't watched any of the factoring videos and you haven't done this in class with me yet, this may be confusing, so hopefully you know what I'm doing right now. I'm going to put the x squared in the top corner and the minus 24 across from it. I'm going to multiply those together to negative 24x squared. Then I'm going to take this minus 2x that's in the middle and put it here. And I'm going to solve my diamond real fast. Something times something is what I need with x's. I need something that multiplies to negative 24 but adds to negative 2. And I'm thinking, let's see, 24, I could do 2 times 12, 3 times 8, 1 times 24, or I could do 4 times 6. And 4 times 6 sounds like a really good one, because if I do a 4 and a negative 6, that's perfect. I get the negative 24, and I get the minus 2. So I'm going to put 4x and negative 6x in here, and then I'm going to quickly do my rectangle. So x times x gives me x squared, x times 4 gives me 4x, and 4 times negative 6. And I've got my factored solution here, x plus 4 and x minus 6. So way up here when we said we were going to rewrite it, I'm actually ready for that step now. It is x plus 4 and it is x minus 6. Now why is this useful? Well, now that I've gotten it all the way to here, here's what I know. Something times something equals 0. So according to my zero product property, what that means is either the x plus 4 has to equal 0, or the x minus 6 has to equal 0. Both of those, if I put small lines down the middle, are very easy equations to solve. I will take the 4 away, and I will get x equals negative 4. I will add the 6 to the other side, and I will get x equals 6, and I just found 2 possible answers to this problem. X is equal to negative 4, and x is equal to 6. That's how our zero product property rule can be really helpful to us. So these big trinomial quadratics that we've been dealing with in class, these factor problems, the whole entire reason we've been trying to factor them into parentheses is because when we go to solve, it makes things so much easier, like way easier. So that's kind of the idea here. Let's try another example. So here is our second example. We are going to solve for m. We've got m squared plus 10m plus 25 equals 0. Now normally in my head I'd kind of be thinking line down the middle, get m all by itself. Usually that's what I would do. But seeing the m squared and knowing that I know how to factor, I'm thinking in my mind like, okay, let's rectangle diamond and factor this thing and get those 2 parentheses. I think that might be a better strategy for this problem. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Down below, I'm going to do a quick rectangle diamond. Again, we've practiced this in class a lot, so we're just like real speedy at this. I'm going to put the m squared in the corner and the 25 across from it. I'm going to multiply that together to 25m squared. I've got 10m in the middle, which is going to go here. What I know is 5 times 5 would give me 25, and 5 plus 5 would give me 10. So I'm going to use 5m and 5m. Now if that's too fast for you, pause the video and take a moment to write it down and think about it. I'm just trying to kind of cruise through the solution here. So, okay, around the rectangle, m times m is m squared, m times 5 is 5m, and then I guess we'd have to do 5 times 5 is 25. So look, we get this. We get 2 parentheses that actually look the same, m plus 5 and m plus 5. Sweet, we've factored it. We have our 2 parentheses, but now comes the newest step. Everything's equal to 0 and I want to solve. So now I'm saying either one of these has to be 0. So what would m have to be to make this all 0? Wouldn't it have to be negative 5? Negative 5 plus 5 would give you a 0. Another way to think about this is split it up and say, okay, m plus 5 has to equal 0. And so does this. M plus 5 has to equal 0. Real quickly, if I was to solve this, little lines down the middle, I'm going to be taking the 5 away from both sides. It's going to be the same process on each problem. And I'm going to end up with the same solution. M is equal to negative 5. And then over here, the exact same answer. M is equal to negative 5. So in this case, even though I broke it down into 2 answers, since the 2 answers are matching and identical, there's really only one solution. The solution to this problem is m is equal to negative 5. Now, if you don't believe me, you could easily check it. You could put negative 5 in for these m's, and you could see, does all of this give you 0? Because if it does, you're doing this problem right. So this is a really good example of when you end up getting one solution, one solving, versus like the last problem we did. After all of that work with our rectangle diamond, we actually had 2 solutions. You would have to check this one twice. You would have to check it once with the negative 4 inside of it, and then you would have to check it again with the 6. So there's 2 possible answers for x in this one, versus example number 2, only 1 possible answer. So, just to kind of recap real fast here at the end, all of the factoring we've been doing in class, and we've really been practicing it, really builds up to this, that zero product property. That when something's equal to zero, if they're being multiplied together, one of them's got to be zero. So it's all about just figuring out how to factor and split the problem apart. There's going to be more videos on this, but hopefully that helps kind of get you started. Bye, guys.